Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Shantia here. So today we're going to be doing a review for Married at First Sight, Season 13, Episode 17, Decision Day. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's finally over. Well, technically, we still have a reunion that's coming up, and I will be back to review that as well. But it's finally over. And honestly, there's not really much to say. I'm just going to try to quickly summarize each of the couples, their decisions, my reactions, and whatnot. I'm gonna go ahead and give some feedback on the overall season and what I think the experts can do to help improve on the show, because let's be real, there are some obvious things that I think are not being addressed in the show that I think if they were addressed, it would be a much more enjoyable process, not just for the candidates who are participating in it, but also for us as viewers watching. To see happy, healthy, functioning people feels good. For us. That's what we want to see as viewers. We don't want to see like the dysfunction. Everyone has come from some sort of dysfunction. Like we see that every day. We want to see people get married for the right reasons. We want to see them stay committed for the right reasons. And so we need to talk about that. We need to address that. This episode had some unexpected moments that made me laugh out loud. And I just thought was absolutely hilarious. And it just reminded me that reality TV is also entertainment and can be a comedy. But still, I do want to see happy, healthy people functioning in partnerships. That's why I watch the shows, to learn about how we can reflect on some of the things that they're doing and think about how we're doing the same things and improve on our situation and our relationships. Okay, so I'm going to start with Rachel and Jose, and then I'm going to go ahead and move down in the order that everyone else presented themselves in. So starting with Rachel and Jose, I felt like they were obviously going to stay together. They've been the most openly happy couple throughout the entire season. I feel like Rachel and Jose really are in love with the fairy tale, and I think that's actually a beautiful thing. They want to be in love, they want to be happy, they want to be together. And to be honest, I feel like that's the key component that keeps couples together and thriving, is the willingness to try, the willingness to want to be in love. So I give them both props for wanting to do that. The main issue that has consistently showed up for Rachel and Jose has been Jose's selfishness. So I think Jose, and actually a lot of the men this season, represent something that is a key issue when it comes to dating and when it comes to men in America, is their selfishness. They value themselves almost so highly that they don't really see the value of a woman. They don't see that she needs to be protected or cared for or treated gently. I think in today's society where we're wanting to see ourselves as equal, we're forgetting that our hormones are totally different. You can't change biology. Some people have more feminine energy, some people have more masculine energy. And therefore, the way we court and the way we create partnerships, it has to function in alignment with our biology. And I'm not saying that you have to force this. I'm just saying that when you do that, it feels more natural. I think a lot of the men this season showcased a lot of selfish tendencies that honestly, I think it's due to them thinking of themselves as sort of the prize. The reason why we call women the prize is because they're the feminine magnetic energy in the relationship. They're the one that pull people towards them. Actually, it makes them more attractive. And for a man, he actually feels more confident in his masculinity and his ability to be a man when he can go after and pursue his goals. I think all the men showcase this need to be like pursued or placated in ways that kind of goes against the polarity, the biology of what helps a masculine-feminine relationship to function well. I honestly think this is just due to how society is forming in ways that we have more options as women and as men. We can do more things that men can do, and men can do more things that women can do. Our energies are merging. But when it comes to a partnership, there are roles. And the reason why we have roles is because they create balance, they create harmony. Hopefully, Jose has the ability to see that. What I like about Rachel is that she's calling him out for it and she's noticing it. They both may have said yes for decision day. Rachel can decide that perhaps this isn't the person for me. I think if there's just one more situation where Jose treats her as aggressively as he did before, I think she's out. I think she's very aware. What I do love is her forgivingness. I think people do deserve second chances. And even when people do crazy things like that, they do deserve second chances. Now, I wouldn't be trying to be married to you, but I'm like, you could date me and we could see where this goes. I'm not trying to be married to you. No. Because that's not how a husband would react or treat his wife. Nothing about that says husband. Not even boyfriend material. It's like, this might be crazy to say, but it's almost like a owner and a dog. Like, okay, get out. He treated her as a subhuman. I feel like that word is so funny, subhuman. But he treated her kind of like a subhuman. Like she was less than, and like he was the best thing ever. But I do know that she did trigger a huge insecurity in him that he probably has had for a long time. He's misrepresented himself when it comes to his upbringing, you know, thinking that he didn't have a lot when his parents built him an entire home growing up. There's just some insecurity, there's some pride there that needs to be looked at and watched over. I think Rachel, for the most part, having the confidence to know her worth. If she just keeps track of that, she's gonna be fine, and I think she has been doing that. I think she's probably too forgiving, but that's her choice, so I wish them the best. Moving on to Mirla and Gil. It was hilarious that Mirla pointed out how I don't know if she said she hated the wedding or she just didn't like it, but it was obvious that she was hypercritical about the whole situation. We were reminded of Mirla's chronic complaining ways. I think it's just important to note that when you're around people who are chronic complainers, it is very draining. It's a lot of energy to put up with that. I imagine being married to that is especially challenging. I think it's always important to note that when you are around people who are chronic complainers, it's not a fun thing. And I feel like Gil and Mirla were definitely rubbing off on each other. Mirla's chronic complaining combined with Gil's security created the situation for him to say the things that he said to her in the previous episode. When your aggression comes out in that way, you want to make sure you're not just saying something to hurt someone because you're feeling a certain way. You want to make sure you're actually you're giving them productive feedback. Instead of thinking of things in terms of like critique and criticizing, we need to talk about feedback. And probably something that Mirla can also take note of too is like, give feedback. You don't have to be critical. I thought it was hilarious that Mirla called out the experts for thinking that, oh, love will be enough. I don't know why people always say that. I don't understand that. There's levels to love. There is the emotional attachment. There's the in love lust. There's the physical attraction. There's the chemistry and all of that mixed into it. There's also the stability. There's the planning. There's we have the same goals, the same values for what we're deciding to build our future off of. That also creates the love. Can't speak for all women, but I feel like women generally fall in love when they can see that someone is willing to put in the work in the relationship long term to help her dreams come true, her vision come true. Because usually a woman has more of a creative, expansive idea of what she wants in the home, what she wants for her family, what she wants to give to her family. And the masculine energy reciprocates that by helping to partake in that. You know, he sets the plans, he sets the physical limitations and the goals for how they can achieve that. He can do that. When it comes to the experts choosing the couples, they really need to take all things into consideration. They always say, oh, she can bring this into this relationship, but you have to listen to what these people are asking for. There's a reason why they're asking for what they ask for. I feel like they should listen to that in addition to finding someone who complements them as well. I wasn't necessarily surprised to hear that Gil said that he was in love with Mirla, but I don't know. I feel like the two of them have displayed some qualities that have been really good in terms of relationship. They've been the least problematic in terms of drama. Even the drama or the difficult moments they handle with grace. You know, Gil might be saying all of these things to Mirla about like she thinks she can just step on people and she thinks she's made of gold, and Mirla, she'll handle it. My concern is just, I don't know if she's communicating to him exactly how she feels about that. I don't know if there's like some fear of her when it comes to her partner because she's so successful. Maybe she's used to intimidating people. Maybe she's used to guys feeling like, because she has such a strong drive, maybe she's used to being with men who feel kind of competitive with her in that sense or insecure about that. And so she puts an emphasis on their care and their love, but she does care about the lifestyle. For that reason, I don't think that they are compatible. I think it's beautiful that people can set goals and build and expand and create more and get creative about visualizing and envisioning what they want for their future. At the same time, I feel like Gil just wants a simple life and a simple love. This is where the experts did a disservice because I think the two of them could have been better if paired with someone who was more of a match to their lifestyle. Gil choosing to get married when he doesn't have the setup, like as far as his career and the financials go, he doesn't have a setup. Like he hasn't set a foundation. He hasn't been like secure. It did him a disservice because it's just too soon. That's important. You know, you need to have that ready to go. You just don't know. Maybe you'll have kids. Like Mirla wants to have kids now. I mean, did you hear her? The girl wants to have kids like in a year. Gil's talking about 2 or 3 years. Like, no, she wants kids now. So this is where I think when it comes to men and women, understanding how to be single, understanding how to be alone is very important, because we want so much to be in love. We want so much to fill that hole inside of us. We have to ask ourselves why we're seeking that, especially when we're not ready, because love has many different levels to it. There's so many things that go into a partnership or a relationship, especially a marriage, that is going to require a lot of you. And so if you don't have yourself together as much as you can, why even rush it? Like you can do more work to get yourself together and then get in a relationship. But I think a lot of people have insecurities about being single. They have insecurities about being alone. That's the best time in your life to figure yourself out, because you can be completely selfish and just think about how you want to live your life. But partnerships take a lot of work. And so you have to really think about all levels. Like, are you ready? Are you ready for this partnership? Are you ready for this marriage? Because it's going to be asked of you. You don't have to be a millionaire, right, to come into a relationship, but you need to know what you're looking for. Are you looking for someone who's okay with how much you make? The experts did them a huge disservice in matching them together, because they weren't looking for that in partners. I wanted Mirla to say no, because I don't think they're compatible. I don't think Mirla's going to be okay with settling. She's very hypercritical. She wants what she wants. And I think that's just something to take into consideration. It's not enough to just care for someone. You want to make sure like you can really handle them and handle everything that they want and desire, because otherwise you're going to be draining each other and pulling each other down, being like, no, you can't have that. I don't want this for you. And or trying to drag someone up to that level where you're just like, I want more, and putting that pressure on them. It's a lot of pressure for a man if he can't partake or provide as well as he can, because men naturally, that's actually what they do best, is taking care of the tribe, taking care of their family. So if they're not able to do that, it does stir up insecurities, because that is their masculine energy. It's part of the experience of being a man. For those reasons, I don't really think they're compatible. I don't think they will sustain. If they do, I do wish them the best, and I hope things do work out great and they figure things out. You know, maybe they can do some counseling and figure out how to become more of a match for one another. I think Mirla looks really happy. She's all over Gil. You get the vibe, and I get the sense that, you know, I don't really see Gil leaning into her. I know he cares for her. I don't necessarily think he's super protective of her, because when I see women leaning into their partner more than he leans into her, that always concerns me, because to me that dynamic feels almost unnatural. I feel like they either should be leaning into each other or he should be leaning towards her, because it's like that masculine and feminine energy polarity. She's the magnet. And so I feel like when women are just super affectionate and they're having to give so much to their partner, be clingy or all of these things, it's to make up or compensate for something inside of him, like his insecurities and whatnot. Just like Johnny wanting a clinging woman. When men are really confident, they're actually willing to be like very affectionate. I think sometimes men maybe get it in their heads that it's not very masculine to want to be very affectionate towards their partner, or all these things. That's just one of my concerns, is whenever I see Mirla leaning into him more than he leans into her, I just feel like he's not, like he says he's in love with her, but I think she cares for him because she's willing to kind of see past the financial part. She cares more for him than he cares for her. That can be a little bit concerning. So we'll see how things play out. Moving on to Bao and Johnny. Now this is where I laughed. Okay, so let's go ahead and address a couple things. So Pastor Cal said the two of them had all the necessary ingredients to be a successful couple. Nope. No, they did not. No, they did not. I will address this a little bit more heavier towards my final notes, but they did not have all the necessary ingredients. On the surface, they had. And that's what I think the experts are missing. As they're looking on the surface, I need them to dig a little deeper. There are some obvious things that came up almost right away. They had more things working against them than for them. Johnny talked about how Bao's lack of maturity is a turnoff for him. So I find that like funny and ironic, because I think Johnny is I think he's way more immature than her. His responses are very immature. They're almost childlike. You know, very emotional, throwing a tantrum 1 second. He's kind of all over the place. Whereas I think Bao is much more measured in how she talks about things, how she thinks about things. He called her giddiness immature. But what it is, it's playful. It's girly. But she's not immature. Like an immature person would come into a relationship and they would be all over the place. They would be like, kind of like Zach. Hey, let's be married. Let's not be married. Let's not be married and let's date. Like they'll be all over the place, like very indecisive. And I think that's what Johnny has been. Where he's called out Bao is where he's been at fault himself. I like that Johnny acknowledged that he was wrong for going to her best friend. She ain't a best friend no more. Her best friend, Emily, and having that conversation with her and admitting that he just wanted confirmation. He was looking for validation. He needed something to cling on to for him to claim that she was not. She may have been doing some things, but I think a lot of things were exaggerated on his part. The thing is, when you're so emotional, you're not seeing things through a clear lens. And so I feel like his lens was most definitely exaggerated. Bao acknowledged that she felt like she lost her voice in the relationship, in the partnership. And I felt like that was for sure. I felt like the more she was outspoken, the more Johnny would punish her. And he would snap on her quicker and quicker and quicker. And that was problematic. Obviously, she's a very outspoken person. Now, she may need to curb her communication in certain areas. And maybe that's why she had that moment when they were all together and she called him out in front of everyone. Why she said all those things, because maybe she feels like she hasn't been able to express herself in the relationship. So she's like, well, guess what? I'm gonna call you out today in front of everyone. Now, Johnny said yes. That was interesting. Felt like there were a couple of things going on. I think Bao might have been kind of like working her ways a little, trying to convince Johnny to say no. He did admit during the dinner, after they all met up, that he was planning on saying no coming in, and then he changed his mind. But I think it's absolutely possible that Bao was kind of trying to like Jedi mind trick him into saying yes, because it almost felt like that. It felt like that. I don't necessarily have all the evidence, but it felt like that. Now, when Bao said no, again, I just thought that was hilarious. I was like, dang girl, you got him. Good. I thought her no was very solid. I think absolutely it hasn't really felt like a marriage for her. I think that's what we've witnessed. I think it is a little too late. It's not even too late. It's just it should be no. Because there are just so much things that are obvious in terms of seeing that he's not ready for marriage. And this marriage isn't stable. It's not functional. That's the thing. It's not functional. And therefore, if we can't even be somewhat functional and get along, then we're going to have huge issues moving forward. Johnny acknowledged, hey, maybe we should do counseling. I think Johnny is kind of confused. I think he's just generally confused. He doesn't understand the depth of, like, how deep the issues are. He has a lot of reflection to do on his part that perhaps after decision day, he'll start to do. He just needs to be curious about what is that? What are my triggers? Like, what is this? What are these wounds and these issues? And what is the healing that I need to do? He just needs to be a lot more curious about it because it's deep and it's there and it's obvious trauma that needs to be healed. I think once he heals that, honestly, he could be a fantastic guy because we've seen moments where he can be extremely intelligent and compassionate and sympathetic. But he's just missing that reality check with himself, needing to really see that. There you go. It's just confirmation again that marriage is not the answer for our problems, which I'm just like, dang, y'all really be choosing marriage to solve a problem, especially marriages, because it's a long-term committed partnership. It just mirrors back all of your issues. It amplifies it. If you don't handle your issues, when you get in the marriage, everything's going to be amplified. All of your triggers, all of your issues, all of your insecurities are going to be amplified. Because you're going to have a person with you all the time who's going to reflect back to you just what those things are. You really need to take into consideration if that's what you want. Because guess what? Here's the best part. All of those beautiful things in you, the healing, the love, the compassion, those are also going to be amplified in the marriage as well. Instead of blaming your spouse for not doing things that you feel like they should be doing, every time you feel the need to do that, to blame your partner for what they should not be doing, you should think about why that bothers you. Now, where's the accountability? Where's your part in the situation? Because you always play some kind of part. I'm all about accountability. I've talked about it in my previous episodes. When you take accountability, accountability is your healing. Accountability is your truth. Accountability is the doorway to fulfillment. So when you take accountability, you will be able to move forward, move past any kind of hurdles and struggles, and you'll be stronger than ever. But you have to acknowledge what you have not been doing right. Sometimes people feel so insecure or unsure of admitting their faults, but I'm like, the more you admit them, like really see what they are, not like try to beat yourself down, but the more you acknowledge it with a clear lens and you say, this is what I did, the more freedom you have, because now you know exactly what you have to work on and what you have to heal. Moving on to Brett and Ryan. So like Dr. Pepper called Ryan out about the app situation. Out of all the situations the experts could have called the couples out on, that was the situation. Because that was harmless. Honestly, the app situation was very immature and silly. It was ridiculous. And Ryan was extremely unapologetic about the whole thing. I'm sorry, that's not what I intended. I did not intend for you to be offended. Whenever someone says that, we all know that's BS, because it's like, but it's not okay. Like, I want you to say, it's not okay. I shouldn't have done that. I'm very remorseful. I'm remorseful that you feel bad. Like, it's a classic case of no accountability. When it comes to Ryan, it's harmless because the app situation is just ridiculous. I think sometimes it is what men do, right? When something's not working out, they kind of run to, let's try to find a date tomorrow and like fix it. It's immaturity. Unfortunately, Brett was the one first. She's the first one to say no. I loved what she said about them not being the right ones for each other, that perhaps friendship is something that they can have in the future, even though I don't really think friendship is something they can have in the future, because several times I've seen Ryan has just made this like extremely uncomfortable expression when he's around Brett. She says things and he can kind of hear. The thing is, he is sensitive because he can hear the undertones. He can catch them, but he doesn't know how to like handle it. He thinks of it as like, it's a disruption, it's conflict, it's too much. So I don't really think they're going to be able to foster a friendship, because I think Brett is just real and I think Ryan is hiding. He's hiding. He's like, yeah, I think we should get a divorce. The reasoning was he has a type. And I'm just like, okay. To me, when someone says a type, like, I hear what you're saying, you're not attracted, right? But it almost just feels like so superficial. Like, I know the attraction is important. I'm not saying that's superficial. I'm just saying he said it almost like he's so fixated on this girl looking like one thing. He didn't really see the value in what Brett had to offer. And Pastor Cal was trying to convince him. He's like, this girl is a ride or die. Now, by the way, I don't find it a compliment when someone says that a woman is a ride or die. I feel like women, absolutely, you need to look out for yourselves and choose healthy partnerships. Now, if a person is taking you into an unhealthy, toxic situation, jump off. I'm not riding with you. No. Now, if we're struggling and we're figuring things out together and we're adults, we're willingly taking accountability in our partnership, then sure. You know, we're going to ride this thing out. But no, I'm not going to die with you. No. I ain't dying. No, thank you. I want to live a long, happy life. Thank you very much. I really feel like when I look at Ryan, I feel like he just needs to do some soul searching. He said that he's coming out of the situation like a better, stronger person. And of course, my TU's partner was like, no, he's not. He's not coming out. He didn't learn anything. He didn't try. He didn't do nothing. And that was the thing. He didn't really try. He just expected it to come easy to him. Like, that's the issue. Ryan, why are you not married? Like, why have you not been in like a successful partnership? Why have you been the issue in the partnership? Like, what is the common denominator? Honestly, he just reminds me like of someone who was like, oh, I tried. Like someone who like, they stepped outside, they dipped their toe in, and then they jumped out. They're just like, nope, can't do it. He barely taste tested the experience. His downfall, his issue is that he can't fully acknowledge. Like, he's living in his own world. He thinks he's doing enough. He thinks everything is working and functioning. But you're going to continue to either be in dysfunctional relationships, attract dysfunctional relationships, or create the dysfunction in the relationship if you can't acknowledge or you can't even see what you're doing. The reason why he's not apologetic is because he can't see what he did wrong. He's half-heartedly admitting that he does wrong, but in his head, I think he is very hypercritical, very particular about what he wants. If you continue to do that, it's not going to serve you. His relationships in the future it's going to show him what he needs to work on. I think Brett is coming out of this whole situation having learned something about herself, having understood the value of her voice, speaking up, saying what's on her mind, calling people out. I see that growth in her, and I look forward to seeing her in a successful partnership. So moving on to Michaela and Zach. Okay, now this was the real comedy show. This was the real comedy show. All right, so the whole situation started with Zach and Michaela like gushing over each other and just having like a love fest of like, I love you and da 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 da. Now that he does love bomb. Oh, for sure. He is a love bomber. Now, I think he's a love bomber because he doesn't really understand the value of the word love. I don't think he understands. I think what he really means is I really, really like you. But I don't think he means love. Zach is confusion, guys. I just like, the dude, you're the best thing next to my mom, but I want a divorce. And if you leave, that's fine. I think Zach, honestly, guys, he has a lot of maturing to do because he just came off as so awkward, so confusing in that conversation. Like he just has, he misses like cues because he's kind of illogical in his processing. His mind is confusing. His actions are confusing. Zach said that he was happy and thankful for the experience, that Michaela is the best woman he knows next to his mom. Like, these are huge compliments. And these are such huge compliments that you would think, huh, this guy's gonna say yes. And of course, nope. Oh, he went in the opposite direction. He said no. And before, he said that, hey, I'm gonna say no. I plan on saying no. And this is what no means to me. That's the partial clarity showing up for Zach. I don't think Zach wants to be married to Michaela because he doesn't feel safe in the partnership. He doesn't feel safe with her. He doesn't feel like his heart is safe with her. I think there are moments where they have these really, the affirmations and the love bombing and all, they have these moments where things are just cloud nine and they feel really good. But some part of him is saying, I don't feel safe in this partnership, as he should be saying. He isn't safe in the partnership because she hasn't proven to take full accountability of what she's doing. Because multiple times she said that he's left her, he's abandoned her, he's left her, without taking into account why he's leaving her. From at least one of the occasions, she actually told him to leave. So this is kind of where I feel like the experts were like letting the audience down. Why isn't anyone calling out that whole situation that came up with Michaela? You know, with her telling him to leave and stay, and then grabbing his bag and, you know, thrashing furniture around. Like, why is no one talking about that? Why are we only talking about Ryan's app situation? I think that's because, honestly, the experts are a little bit too afraid to go into that territory. And maybe they have hearts in their eyes and they're so focused on the marriage between the partners working than they are on the people individually and their mental health. I kind of have an issue with that. They may continue to do what they do, but I don't think it's helping the situation. It's not helping the people on the show. It's not helping us as viewers to watch that. Like, why are we looking at the experts like confused and just wondering like, what are you guys doing? There might be some gender bias that's being played into this. You know, seeing Michaela as a woman, maybe they don't fully acknowledge or see that she's done, because Zach has obviously been super confusing and maybe even leading her on in certain situations. I wish they would fully acknowledge that she's done some harmful things in this partnership. Zach specifically said that he wants a divorce to feel better mentally. He's trying to care for his mental health. I just wish the experts would do the same. So there's a couple things that bother me. So one of them is that throughout this entire relationship, I always felt like Michaela was doing most of the chasing. I'm just telling you, women, you need to watch that, because it's going to, as a woman, it's gonna drain you. When you chase a guy, it creates imbalance. He naturally wants to chase you. Now, what I noticed Michaela doing is that she would kind of chase him, right? She would heavily just like throw him compliments and all these things. Then she would do things to make her chase her. She would kind of punish him. She would be silent. She would basically pull her energy away from him. This is something I've seen between men and women happen a lot, is where the woman will chase and pursue the guy. You know, she'll go after him, and then some part of her was subconsciously, something will kick in and she'll start to pull away her affection, her energy, because she wants him to chase her. And so that's therefore the back and forth between Michaela and Zach. Zach, because of his obvious attractive attributes in terms of physicality. He has a certain kind of charismatic, charming nature to him. Women come after him and they go after him, and he's probably used to that. But those are not the women you want to choose to pursue. You can't chase a woman who's chasing you, right? And the chase is a part of the polarity, the attraction that's created. Zach is just used to things just coming to him, and therefore him choosing to be selfish and say, hey, let's get a divorce, but let's date anyways, and like do all of these unnecessary things in the partnership, that's just so confusing. That whole situation between Zach and Michaela, that presentation of this on decision day, Zach's presentation on decision day was so confusing. He's confused. Now, I've heard people say that Zach is guilty in a sense. He's young and foolish. I think Michaela has at times been manipulative, but I think Zach, he's been very honest. He's just so confused and selfish, as a young, immature male would be and does when they're not ready to be in a partnership. Obviously, with Zach and Michaela, I don't think they're going to... obviously, they didn't end up together, so we'll see how that pans out in the end. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go over my final notes. What I want the experts to look for when it comes to these couples is definitely check the finances. Now, the lifestyle, the financial match should be there, because finances puts a lot of pressure on people. You want to hope that for the most part they want mostly that lifestyle or something similar. Every time I've seen them put couples who have drastically different ideas of how they want to raise their families, they don't stay together. They don't end up together. I remember one season they had this, I think this cute girl, her name is Lily. I forgot what the guy's name was, but she was like a real estate agent. She wanted a traditional home, but he lived in like a trailer or something, or a bus. It was a really nice bus that I think he designed himself, but he was more of an adventurer living type of guy, and she was more traditional. And they're like, oh, but if we put them together, they'll figure it out. No, they need to be ready now. They need to be very clear. If they tell you, I want to live on a bus, you need to put them with someone who maybe wants to live on a bus. Would maybe consider a non-traditional lifestyle. Put them with that person. She says she wants to be a millionaire and he says he wants to be a thousandaire. You need to take that into consideration. Second thing, communication. Now, I don't know how Ryan made it on this show without communicating, okay? And without being able to communicate, but communication is key. Communication is important. If you can't communicate, if you can't talk about your feelings and your emotions and your vulnerability and your intimacy, you should not be on the show. Third thing, mental health. And this has multiple levels. Psych evaluations, their past relations, situations, all that has to be taken care of. Reality TV undoubtedly puts a lot of pressure on people, and they'll probably be acting out a little bit more than usual, for sure. Which is why the mental health needs to be taken into heavy consideration when they are vetting these people. I would also like for the experts to encourage the individual growth and healing for these individuals. That needs to be encouraged. When they're so focused on the marriage, they're missing the fact that Zach doesn't feel safe in his partnership with Michaela. They're missing that Johnny is tearing Bao down at every opportunity. The growth, the individual growth and healing for these individuals need to be prioritized before the marriage. Last point that I like to make. So a lot of these couples, a lot of the people this season, they were given a real opportunity to cultivate something beautiful with a partner. And I would say when it comes to all of the couples, every single one of them, not a single person was devoid of feedback that I have to offer, is to watch for the fact that they may be sabotaging their own happiness. So I find it so interesting is when we're given an opportunity to be happy, when we have not done our healing, as soon as we're given that thing, that beautiful thing, we sabotage it. We tear it apart. There might have been a small inkling of a possibility for Johnny and Bao to make it if Johnny didn't sabotage his partnership with Bao, and Michaela didn't sabotage her opportunity with Zach. Ultimately, there are bigger issues at hand that need to be played out and need to be looked at and assessed. But that is something for us to all consider, is when we sabotage our own happiness. So if you are given an opportunity to have something beautiful, watch for that. We all just want to be happy. We want to be thriving. We want to be fulfilled. We want to be enjoying our lives. And so there are just certain little things that we can let go of to make way for our own happiness and for us to make it easier for it to come to us as well. That's my review for Married at First Sight. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for watching if you've watched multiple reviews. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. I will be back next week with another review, so make sure you tune in for my review of the reunion. And then, you know, if they keep going on, maybe I'll do another review. But this show just never ends. And apparently they're coming back in January. So I thought they were probably going to be taking a break till February, but no, they're coming back in January. So I will be back with reviews. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment. I want to hear your guys' opinions. I read all of your comments. And subscribe so that you'll be here when I do my next review. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful day or evening. Thank you. Bye. Also, I would love to add in, whether it's a face, a furry face, or a favorite place, my artworks are treasured keepsakes, unique and tailored to your most treasured memories. I do portrait commissions that are gifted from and created with heart. So go ahead and check out my website. I'll go ahead and link it down below. You guys can see if you're interested in me doing commissions for you. Also, I sell my own fine art, which is a labor of love. My artwork tends to lean towards identity and healing. So if you're interested in checking that out, then go ahead and look at my link down below. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful day or evening. Thank you for watching, and tune in for next week for the next review of Married at First Sight. Bye.